Okay, this is an awesome set of questions. I'm going to try and answer these really quick before I head off to work. Besides trying other foods, how does one improve their palate? There are a few foods and ingredients that I hate, but most people seem to enjoy. Why is that, and can it be fixed? Also, when creating dishes, how can you practice knowing when something needs sweet, sour, bitter, salty, and umami flavors added to make the dish better? Okay, so I want to address each of these questions. Let's start with, there are a few foods and ingredients that I hate, but most people seem to enjoy. Why is that, and can it be fixed? Yeah, it depends. Sometimes it can't be fixed. Sometimes it's just something that you personally don't have a taste for. But what you can do is know what other people like and then make them that way. Adjust seasoning, and when other people give you feedback that they like it, then you can use that as, okay, this is where this needs to be. One of the reasons why people may not like food is because it just doesn't taste good to them. Some people have issues with texture, certain flavors. Some people don't like things that taste too sour or too bitter or whatever. Sometimes that's just how your palate is, and that's just how your personal tastes are. So there are some things that can be fixed. And the reason why they can be fixed is a pretty simple reason. So if you grew up and your household had somebody that was a bad cook, you don't like asparagus, you hate asparagus, it's the worst thing in the world, but you find out later that the reason why you hated asparagus is because, your mom, dad, whatever, used to make asparagus, and they bought canned asparagus and they cooked the crap out of it. They didn't season it, and so it was just this mushy, stringy, nasty mess. So you grow up thinking, I hate asparagus, but you have asparagus from a really nice restaurant, or you grill it yourself and you learn about, you blanch it and you sear it and you season it and char it or whatever, and you find out, wow, this is really good. Fresh asparagus is amazing. So sometimes it's a matter of the ingredients that you were introduced to, or the foods you were introduced to that you actually don't like. It's not that you didn't like the ingredient, it's that you didn't like how the ingredient was produced. So that is one way that you could fix it, is by learning what those are and trying to eliminate them. One example for me, I hated blue cheese for a really long time, and the reason why is because when I was 7 years old, I used too much blue cheese dressing, and my stepdad at the time made me sit at the table. I was there for almost 2 hours eating this nasty salad that was swimming in blue cheese. It was like blue cheese cereal. I mean, I was like a kid, So ever since then, I had an aversion to blue cheese. I hated it. I didn't want to have anything to do with it. I didn't want to be around it, and that's why I also don't force kids to eat foods that they don't like. It took me a long time. I started out with using a small amount of blue cheese on a burger and doing a bacon blue cheese burger, and I started to work into allowing it into my life more and more, to the point where now I do blue cheese with my wings, I do blue cheese salad dressing, and it's fine. I don't hate it. It's still not like the absolute best thing to ever happen to my life, but I can eat it now, and I'm not like, oh, good, yeah, ugh. So that's for that one. Someone might have a better example or a way to answer this than me, but what I would personally say is developing a palate is pretty similar to learning how to draw. So when you start out, your palate is based off of whatever you were introduced to, whatever you personally think is good or whatever. A palate is kind of like, well, what is the general consensus around what actually tastes good? So an easy example of this is somebody on a low sodium diet, or somebody that doesn't eat a lot of salt, is going to think things are salty, extremely salty, when they're not. So when they produce food, they're going to be producing bland food. If they understand, okay, I'm extremely sensitive to salt, they don't have to change their lifestyle, but they can adjust the seasoning and be like, okay, so basically when I make food, it needs to taste like it's a little over salted, and then people seem to really enjoy it. So that's how I'm going to make this. That could be one way that you could develop palate. Otherwise, just time and eating food, really taking time that when you taste food to really just taste it. Don't just be inhaling your food every time you eat something, anywhere you go. What is it about that burger that tasted so good? What is it about that spaghetti and marinara, or that, noodles and clam sauce, or whatever it is you're eating? Why does it taste good? What about it is the thing that draws you to that? And then to get better, you attempt to recreate those things, and you just go through this process over and over again. Over time, you develop your palate. The easiest way to practice knowing when dishes need different things, literally, is to just add them. You can adjust it and try it. So when it comes to, I'm doing a whole video just on flavor profiles, so I won't get too much into it here, and I have to go to work literally in 1 minute. But what I will say is that usually with seasoning, the goal is to enhance the flavor, not make the flavor the star. So lemon will brighten up a dish, will brighten up vegetables, but you don't want it to taste, you don't want the person eating to think, oh, I'm eating lemon flavored something something. You just want them to eat this and be like, oh wow, that, what is that? You know, like I taste, there's something in there that like, wow, like it pops and like, you know. But if you have a developed palate, when you taste that, you know, oh, that's lemon juice. That's what that is, you know, just for an example, or vinegar or whatever. And then the same thing applies to other things. You want the salt to enhance the flavor. If you use MSG, you want the MSG to enhance the flavor. You don't want people to think the first thing that they eat and the first thing that comes to their mind is salty, and then they're like, salty zucchini. You want the flavor profile to be built by the star, the main part of the dish, and then you want the supporting flavors to be things like the salt, the sour, the bitter, and stuff like that. And then you develop them in a way to where it comes together. But yeah, I hope that generally answered the questions. Like I said, I'm going to do a whole video on flavor profiles. It's probably going to be a longer video because I'm going to have to go into in-depth explanations of, you know, flavor structure and a lot of other stuff. But hope you have an awesome day, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.